Hello everybody, I am the Traveler and welcome back to Fare Thee Well. So we're start right back into it. We left off right where they're having a conversation. But unlike myself or Rosa, Candace is very deeply rooted here in Cedar. Though I've grown to consider her a close friend, we're about as different can get. Michael reminds me of Emmeline, which of course comes as no surprise. He likes his life in Cedar, but he's mindful of his future and where it might take him. I look up from my empty glass, which I had been absent-mindedly been turning over in my hand, and catch Rosa's eye. She curiously meets my gaze. So how about you? Do you have any grandiose dreams or aspirations? Any miserable failures that landed you where you are now? Huh, yeah. Quite a few more than I can count at this point. She narrows her eyes in suspicion. Clearly, I piqued her interest. I used to be a lot like you, looking for somewhere I could belong, going wherever the road took me. There's nothing wrong with that, no shame in it whatsoever. It takes time to discover who you are, to find out who you want to be. So, what advice can you give? Advice? I hardly think I'm qualified to be giving advice to anyone. I'm not concerned with qualifications. I just want to hear what a similar mind has to tell me. In that case, the best thing I can offer you is this. The belonging that you're searching for, you may never find it. Where circumstances different, I might still be searching for it. What you can do that will make all the difference is really quite simple. Life is going to go on, regardless of what you do. Don't just let it happen. Take charge of your own life. Even though you may not find what you search for, it will make that search easier. I've always had trouble putting this into words. It's been in the back of my mind for as long as I can remember, but words always seem to fail me. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you aren't going to find what you're looking for if you're so caught up in your search that you can't see what's right in front of you. Rosa sits back in her chair, looking rather confused. I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense. I'm not the best with speaking my thoughts. She shakes her head. No, I think I understand. Candace laughs her usual laugh. Ha! I have no idea what you just said, but I know you're probably right. Anyhow, it looks like we could all use another round. I'll be right back. As Candace goes to retrieve our drinks, my thoughts wander to Emmeline, as they so often do. Tell me, Michael, how's Emmeline doing these days? What was that? Was that supposed to happen? Hold on. Hold on. I guess so. I guess that wasn't a glitch in the game. It just goes to black there, and then comes. Okay. Hours pass, and it's clear that we've all reached our limit. The clock behind the bar reads 3:36. My goodness, I hadn't realized how late, well, early it's gotten. I really should be going. Rosa stands and puts her coat on. Thank you all for a wonderful evening. I am truly grateful. Rosa, would you mind if I walked you back to your motel? Candace sneaks a wink and a thumbs up in my direction. I can't help but grin. Well, okay. That's very nice of you to offer. As the two prepare to leave, Candace begins to clean out while I lean back in my chair and stretch my tired bones. Hey Rosa, could you just wait by the door? I'll be there in just a minute. Sure. Michael, now standing in front of me alone, turns to me. I just wanted to thank you. Tonight has been one of the most memorable nights of my life. It's all thanks to your encouragement. There's no need to thank me. We all had a good time. I think it's time I left Cedar. I spent more time in this little town than I intended to. 20-something years, 30-something years I think it was. It's the first time I ever came back somewhere. But now it's time I move on. Life will go on here just as it always has. My journey is far from finished. This place has taught me a lot, and I'd like to think I've given something back. Though no other place will ever quite fill the gap Cedar will doubtlessly leave in my life. I chose to make Cedar a part of me, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Maybe I don't need to thank you, but let me anyway. You've always been a good friend to me. Let me do the same for you. Michael extends his hand to me, and I take it in mine. We exchange a handshake, meaningful to each of us in different ways. Thank you. Goodbye, Michael. I take a long look around the cozy bar I've become so familiar with. I see the tables and the booths where Candace's loyal patrons gather after a long day's work. I see the bar where I first met Candace and her father before. I see the stage where I first saw Emmeline all those years ago. The same stage that Rosa just performed on a few hours ago. I close my eyes and breathe in the familiar sense of pine, fire, and alcohol. I will surely miss Cedar. I'll miss the hearth and home. I'll miss Candace, Michael, and now Rosa. I'll miss Emmeline. I'll miss them all, but I'll never forget them. I stand and walk over to the coat rack, which sits beside the door. My coat is now hanging alone. After putting my coat on, I start out the door, but I am quickly halted by the length of a broomstick being thrust in front of me. I know what you're about to do. I never expected you to stay forever. About 2 hours ago, I figured this would be your last night in Cedar. How could you possibly have known that? Although I did suspect that she would be on to me and she would do exactly what she's doing. Candace looks very serious when compared to her normal, more gleeful demeanor. Now, after seeing you just a moment ago, I'm certain. It's just time I moved on, Candace. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to stop you. What is it then? She cracks a slight smile but gives nothing away. Before you go, there's something you need to see. Oh, what is it? Come with me. Candace takes me by the arm and leads me behind the bar, through a door and down a flight of stairs into the wine cellar. She reaches to an empty section of the wine rack and produces a large sealed envelope. There's a chair over there. Take as much time as you need. She hands me the envelope and walks over to the door. Candace turns back to me. She's sad for a brief moment, but then smiles again. It's been fun. Thank you. Without another word, she turns once more, closing the door behind me. I sit down in Candace's chair and look at the envelope in my hands. I run my hand across the smooth surface, wondering what this is. Carefully, I tear open the envelope at its seal. Inside are 3 smaller envelopes, each marked with a date, 1967, 1987, 2002. I start with the envelope labeled 1967. Inside is the letter, handwritten. The handwriting is excellent and unmistakably feminine. Hello, stranger. 2 nights ago, you swooped into my life. You shared with me the best night of my life, and then you were gone, with more mystery than your arrival. For the few hours we spent together, all seemed to be right in the world. All my cares had gone away. It was truly blissful. And then you left so suddenly, so abruptly. You never even said goodbye. The magic dissipated instantly. My bliss shattered, leaving only pain and confusion. That night that we shared, why did we share it? Why did you come into my life, if only to leave hours later? Please don't misunderstand me, dear stranger. I am not angry. I hold nothing against you. I only wish I could understand why that night happened. I was sure that we were both so happy, but when you left, I began to have doubts. Had I done something wrong? Were you not happy as I thought you to be? Of course, thinking back to it now, it all seems a bit silly. It was one night, nothing gained and nothing lost. I'm sure you had your reasons for leaving. I'm glad it happened. I will always remember it. However, dear stranger, should I ever see you again, though it seems doubtful, please help me to understand what that night meant. I have an aching desire to know. To be honest, I'm not sure that you will ever read this letter, but I take comfort in knowing that it will not matter if you read it or not. This letter doesn't really mean anything. All I have written here is just the result of one impossible yet undeniable experience. The ramblings of a young woman. My dear stranger, I wrote all of this to ask for an explanation, but it is now clear to me that I will never receive one. You don't owe it to me, so please don't feel as though you do. I'm happy enough to keep the memories of that night precious without anything more. So, my stranger, although you never said it yourself, I will say it now. Goodbye, stranger. Emmeline. It took me a few moments, but eventually I was able to reach for the second letter, dated 1987. I trace a finger over the now familiar script of Emmeline's handwriting before reading her words. Dear young man, I didn't want to believe it was you. Why would you return after just leaving me there? But your face was unmistakable. I'm sure you've heard the expression about not having aged a day. We usually reserve this for women too vain for the truth, or people who've recently had plastic surgery. But in your case, you actually haven't. You looked exactly the same as you had all those years ago. I hadn't expected you to return at all. After you'd left me, for a while I was left to theorize, and I let my imagination run wild. What are you? Some kind of alien in human skin? A super advanced machine? A vampire? And then I remembered one of the things you had talked about. The legend of an eternal wanderer. At the time, I dismissed it as drunken rambling. Then I saw you just yesterday. It had been 2 decades since I'd seen you. Memories fade, but I had my first suspicions when I saw you with Michael. You were helping each other with the audio cables. You might not have even recognized it, but I saw clear admiration in your eyes. Admiration and more. Envy? I guess if you really are to live forever, you could never again know childlike wonder and curiosity like Michael could. And then I saw your reflection in the window as I was leaving. I recall the time when we frolicked around the city in the snow, in that moment, and I knew it was you. And now there's the matter of your cover. If you truly intend to work at the Hearth and Home, then I'll see you again. Believe me, the temptation is very real to reveal you, what you are. What exactly would that solve? No, it's better to let bygones be bygones. I'd gain nothing by revealing you, and it would just cause you to leave again. I'm sure you're used to that process by now. I considered asking you what occurred in your past travels. Who else did you meet? Anyone famous? How long have you been around? The things usual people would ask someone like you. But honestly, the numbers and faces of the past matter less than what you felt. I've been on the other side of it. Your emotions. I know what you felt. I'll admit that I hated you for a while, after leaving me on that bench. But now I understand. I forgive you. I hope one day you find a place, or more likely, a time, that you can flourish in. With as much loss as I've experienced, yours could only be worse. I wish you the best, stranger. Sincerely, Emmeline. She signed her name in that familiar script. I could feel the pressure of tears welling in my eyes now, wishing I could have spoken to her. If she knew who I was, then I could have apologized for leaving her all alone on that frosty bench decades ago. Clearly she had cared for me enough to not reveal who I was to everyone. At the very least, I had the privilege of making that kind of connection. The only kind of connection I could truly ever establish. To you. I'll write to you once again, and this will be my last. I have grown old and feeble, but alas, you are just as I remember you from all those years ago. I'm sorry that you'll never be able to grow old. My life, my son and my family, they have given me joy, just as the night we spent together so long ago did. Candace has been filling me in on all the fun I've been missing, so I'm grateful to her for that. I trust that she'll deliver these letters to you when the time is right. We've had our suspicions for a while now, that you would probably leave Cedar soon. It always makes me sad. Thinking of your inevitable departure is kind of strange. We spent so little time together in our lives, but it seems like that time is so very significant. Over all these years, there hasn't been a day that I haven't thought back to the night we first met. I never have been able to understand why. It's just always meant a lot to me. I did recognize you when you came back in '87, though not right away. I'm not really sure why I didn't ever say anything to you. It just never felt like there was a good time to say anything. You had lived 20 more years. I had gotten 20 years older. I got married and had Michael. Looking back, it was for the best I did not say anything. It's a strange thing, the connection we seem to have. I would say it is unique, but I can't say for certain whether this is true or not. The time that you were a part of my life was indeed brief, but without a doubt, that time changed my life. It changed my view of the world, and it changed how I see other people. I'm uncertain, but I think these changes were for the better, so thank you. I also want to thank you for leaving me that night. I enjoyed my normal life. I say now that this is all I ever could have wanted. You saw that it was what I wanted long before I ever even wanted it. You showed me something special, and you gave me the chance to live the life that was mine. My dearest wanderer, we aren't very good at goodbyes, are we? But this will indeed be our last. But I have grandchildren that I soon hope to meet. And you have a long road ahead of you, so I'll keep it brief. I want you to remember me as who I was, and to you will not always be. So goodbye, my dear wanderer. Travel safe, travel far and long and wide. And maybe, in another life, in a different time, we will meet again. I am speechless. I sit for a while, stirring in my emotions. I feel empty, but in a good way. At an end, but in the best way. I feel complete. After I walk out of the closet, I come across Candace, alone. She's the only one left. The bar is empty, silent and calm, like someplace out of a dream. Finished already? Yeah. And you're leaving now? Candace. She begins to cry. You know I have to. You know I have to do. She wipes out her eyes with dirtied hands. I know. I know. There's a silence for a moment before Candace draws in for a hug. She embraces me tightly, her trickling tears soaking into the shoulder of my coat. She trembles, but only a little. I don't want you to go. I have to. You can't leave. We're all still here. I'm sorry. I I pull myself away. Goodbye, Candace. I'll miss you. I'll miss you and everyone else in this dark, dusty old bar, this sleepy town of the snow. I'll miss it. I'll miss you all. I will. Will you remember us? Always. Thank you. You know, you're like family to us. To my dad, to me, to the bar, to the town. You really were. I want you to remember that, okay? I give Candace one last smile before I turn for the door. Stop it. She goes back to sweeping, not wanting to watch me leave. She takes a deep breath. Tears drip from her eyes onto the floor. Okay. Once outside, I take a final stroll around the town. Cedar, Maine. At first glance, it all seems so asleep. Like it's not alive, but only lays there in a state of constant rest. But that couldn't be more wrong. I'm gonna break out another box of tissues. God damn it, they're not expect this game to actually, like, pluck at my heartstrings. Fuck. Okay. I'm okay. This town was more alive than any other I've seen. The white snow resting on the frozen ground glowed like the stuff of dreams. I've fallen in love over the years with this town, with this dream. But it's time to wake up. I walk away into wilderness as the sun rises over the trees. I vanish like a ghost from a dream, wiping tears from my eyes. All I leave behind are footprints in the snow that are soon swept away by winter wind. Of all the money that ere I had, I spent it in good company. And of all the harm that ere I've done, alas was done to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I cannot recall. So fill me to the parting glass. Good night, and joy be with you all. So fill to me that parting glass, and drink a health whate'er befalls. Then gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for me going away. And of all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls into my lot that I should rise while you should not, I will gently rise and I'll softly call. Good night, and joy be with you all. Fare thee well. The story of a lonely man, a wanderer, a wayfarer, a stranger, and the sleepy town he left in the snow. One winter night, dedicated to Vocaster. This was fantastic. I was about to end the episode there too. Like I was about to like, okay, this seems like a good place to stop, and then I just said, nah, I'm gonna keep going for a little bit, and then the poem was like, this is the end. It almost made me cry again. Damn it. Like this was a fantastic game. This fantastic visual novel. Like I don't know if I can really call it a game because there isn't any choices I could have made or anything because all the choices were made for me. I want that to continue. I thought for sure there'd be more after that. Ah, man. Wait, how are there some missing things though? The imagery in this game was fantastic as well. And the music was amazing. Thank you, Watercress, and whoever went into putting this story together. Directed by the Forever Lone Wolf. Like, I thought this was going to be a completely different thing than what was based on the description, based on the tags in Steam. Which is why if you look at the tags on YouTube, I put these same tags. It said memes. I'm like, what memes are there? But I don't know. I can't. I'm not good at putting my thoughts in words. But this was an amazing game, and if you want to experience it for yourself, I recommend it. Link will be in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, give a like and some love. Definitely play it for yourself. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.